And welcome to wwadd. So today's video was planned to be shot on Saturday, but it didn't come off. Coincidentally, I'm going to talk about overplanning and how I think it is a mistake. Well, overplanning is very important in students' life, but then there is a fine line between overplanning and then effective planning. That is what I'm going to talk about today. So let's dive right into it. Unrealistic expectations. One of the biggest mistakes students make when planning their day is setting unrealistic expectations. They try to cram too much into their schedule, which can lead to burnout and stress. It is essential to be realistic about how much you can accomplish in a day. Lack of flexibility.
Look, when your day is scheduled down to the minute, there's no room for unexpected events or opportunities that may arise. Being too rigid in your plan can make you miss out on valuable experiences.
When you plan your life, your spontaneity and creativity suffer. Take me for example, where my creative ideas actually pop up when I am bathing. Well, that aside, sometimes when I'm wandering in the land of nowhere, that is when my ideas pop up. So if you leave no room for this kind of things, then you might not be spontaneous, because it is very, very necessary to be spontaneous sometimes, because you never know. One thing you are thinking about might be something that may lead you into a successful life, right? So if you plan your life to the minute, that means you will be stuck to thinking about the same thing over and over again. Let's say someone who has a daily routine, right? He wakes up, he brushes, he eats, and then all he does is, let's say, reading. Now, this is what you are going to do for some number of years. And so you have no room to be spontaneous and also to be creative. And that's what is very necessary when it comes to your daily life. Sometimes you need a little bit of spontaneity, and so allow room for it. Don't plan your life to the minute. It is really, really dangerous. Neglecting self-care for your plans. Now, this I can give a lot of examples as the list goes on and on, but let me give you something we can all relate to. Now, medical school is a place you would have to learn very, very hard, and so you need a plan because you were brought there to study and at the end of the day be successful and make your parents proud in the process. Now, you have plans, right? Now, what happens is that people stick to their plan to the extent that they deprive themselves of a very good sleep, what they will eat, and then sometimes they don't care about personal hygiene because they have to stick to their plans. Now, when this happens, you might be having mental and as well as physical health issues. That is why it is very important to, leave room for all these kind of things. Take care of yourself, because at the end of the day, you have plans to be productive. Now, what happens is that if you neglect your self-care, you end up counterproducing yourself. That means you planning to be productive will no longer be a success. And so it is very, very important not to neglect your health or your mental issue, because they will all come back to haunt you in the future as you are progressing to be productive in the course of your study. So that is why it is very important to know the difference between over programming yourself, over planning your life, and effective planning. Yes, I know. You are like, what is the solution you are providing to these problems now that you stated them? Well, just tag along to the end of the video, and I promise you, I have packed all the solutions for you. And better still, if you don't like this part of the video, you can quickly skip to that part. But then I feel like you need to know the problems in order to know how to solve yours, because everybody's problem is different from one another. So, to thank me for this wonderful work, I believe a subscribe to the channel will be very, very useful. And also, please don't forget to leave a like and leave a comment in the comment section as to how you can solve some of these problems, or even share your problems about over planning, so that we can also learn from you and know how to solve these problems. Now, moving on quickly, stress is something that is common among students, specifically medical students. Now, what happens is that most students actually plan their lives to the minutes, even to the seconds, to the extent that they get stressed when these plans are not met. They get anxious. That is why it's very, very common among students. Now, let's take my roommate, for example, who plans his life. When he wakes up, what he's supposed to do, followed by what he's supposed to do, and then it ends up by what he has to do for the third time. Now, when someone comes and distorts this particular plan of his, then it becomes a very huge problem for him. He becomes angry, annoyed, because he feels like he has not been productive. And this is because he has overplanned his life. Secondly, he becomes anxious because he has not met his goal of the day. And so it's very, very stressful to him. He feels like, no, I should have done this. I should have made it. Then it becomes something that hinders him for the next plan, because it will definitely affect your next plan. And so your day ends up becoming unproductive. And thirdly, you become very anxious. You'll be like, can I meet these goals? Now that my plan have been distorted, would I be able to, finish up with this? And this is something that happens to him a lot. And I've seen it and I've realized that it's not really, really a good thing, because it will hinder your next plan. And so it's very, very important to avoid over planning, because it will lead to more stress. Planning already is a kind of stress. Let's say, for instance, you are to write an exams in the following week, and you are planning towards the exams. You're already stressed. Imagine you overplanned, and then maybe an unforeseen circumstance happened, and you need to, attend to that problem, that issue. Then you realize that your plans are not going as planned. And so you'll be more anxious than before, more stressed than before, because you have little rooms to make your preparation happen. And so that is why it's very, very important to know the difference between over planning and effective planning, because it is something that will really go a very long way to help you. So again, if you are thinking about how to plan your day, you have a lot of apps I think I will talk about on how to do it, because they actually help in effective planning. Even though you put what to do in your day, during the day, but then it's very, very important to go along with the suggestion of the applications, because they might just know what is right for you. But you can all agree with me that as students, our lives are very, very dynamic. Anything can happen spontaneously. Let me give you a very good example we can all relate with. Now, let's say on campus, professor decides to, give a quiz or an examination at any given time, and then you don't plan for it. It becomes a problem. Or better still, you've planned your life for something else, and that happened to come. Let's say the exams. You'd have to, forgo your plans because you've set another priority which will affect your plans. So you realize that it becomes a very big problem for someone who has planned his life to the minute. Let's say you plan to be in, at a meeting, or you plan to be sleeping or something, right? Or maybe to see the family, and then you are called to come to the faculty because you have an exams. This time around, your plans have changed, and so you have to adapt. So when you overplan your life, it gives no room for adaptivity. That means that you cannot adapt to situations. Your life is more or less like a robot. I don't want to say that, but that's how it seems. So I feel like overplanning your life, it's very, very bad. But knowing how to plan it effectively is very, very important. I'm not saying planning is very bad, because it's very, very important in the life of students. Like I said, there are applications that can help you plan your life effectively. That is why you have to consider this application, because they know what will be good for your health as well. Even though everybody has their own ways of living, but I feel like the general idea is to plan effectively and not overdo it, because there's actually a fine line between these two. You want to be productive, I understand, but don't be someone who plans your life and end up becoming sick, having mental issue, and then your productivity life becomes unproductive. That is why it is very, very important to find a solution to this problem. And if you made it this far into the video, then I have the right solution for you. So this is the solution I propose. I'm not saying you shouldn't plan your life. It's very important to plan your life, but then leave rooms for breaks, relaxation, unforeseen circumstances. These are things that you cannot control. And again, don't be hard on yourself if things don't go as planned, because it happens all the time. And so you should be able to balance between planning your life and then your well-being. Prioritize your well-being. It's what will make you, very, very productive. It's not just about planning, but how well you eat, how well you take care of yourself. These are the little things that we neglect and end up being not productive. And so it's very, very important to consider all this as priority before planning your life. Where and when do you have to sleep? At what point do you have to eat, what to eat? These are all part of the plans. I mean, it should be part of the plans. You shouldn't be having your plans and it should all be about learning each and every day. I mean, waking up, learn, waking up, learn. It shouldn't just be that. I mean, it's a whole lot of problem if you overplan your life. I mean, you don't have room for flexibility. You can't adapt to changes. You'll be stressed all the time, anxious, and that's even worse because you are a student. And then again, there are a lot of things that, your spontaneity becomes a problem. You can't be creative at the end of the day. Someone like me who does YouTube, I need to be very creative. And so I need to leave room for all these kind of things. And finally, it's very, very important to prioritize your well-being. That's what we are living for. Like we say, health is wealth. And so why would you actually let your health suffer in the process of, being productive? How would you spend your money if you are sick? Now, thank you very much for getting here with me. I really appreciate it. If you're a returning subscriber, and then if you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to this channel. Will actually help us in the long run. And also don't forget to leave your comment and then your solutions to over planning, and we would actually appreciate it. This has been it. See you guys in the next one.